Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Blackwing Yugioh deck profile for January 2021. Wanted to do an update to the Blackwing deck with the release of the latest Legendary Duelist Season 2. We were given reprinted support for a good number of harder to pull Blackwing cards, so I felt with the easiness it is to now build the Blackwing deck with some of the cards like Simoon and Fuller Armor Master being reprinted. Definitely wanting to update the deck because it's actually been a good while since my last update for the Blackwing deck. It always feels like it was just yesterday since I last updated a deck profile, and then I look back and see that's actually been a couple years, and a lot of people have been requesting an update to the Blackwing deck, and I wanted to focus on a version of the deck that is more synchro based, not really relying on much of the Blackwing or Phantom Knight support from Phantom Rage, and going full Blackwing power for all the different synchro monsters we have. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll start off with the non-tuner Blackwing monsters and then go into the tuner monsters. For the non-tuners, I run 3 Blackwing Boar of the Spear. With this card, if you control another Blackwing monster other than Blackwing Boar of the Spear, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if it attacks a defense monster, you can inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. So it's one of the first Blackwing monsters we ever got. Just a good powerhouse at that. Being able to be an easy special summon resource for you to use on the field is your #1 reason for definitely wanting to run 3 of this card. So you always have the option to special summon it out and then just work with all the other different tuners we have to go into all of the different synchro monsters we run in the deck as well. For some of the other 3-ofs for the non-tuner monsters, I also run 3 Blackwing Chris the Crack of the Dawn. If you control a Blackwing monster other than Blackwing Chris the Crack of the Dawn, you can special summon this card from your hand, and then you can only special summon it once per turn this way, and once per turn this card cannot be destroyed by spell or trap effect. So good protection with that card as well, but it's mostly here for the special summon resource, just like Blackwing Boar of the Spear. So having 3 of this card means that you can even just summon out this card, special summoning Bora, or vice versa, and then have 2 monsters to either go for an Xyz summon or a Link summon, which I am running in the deck as well, just as options in case you don't have a tuner monster but you still want to access your extra deck. And I also run 3 Blackwing Simoon the Poison Wind. With this card, if you control no monsters and have this card in your hand, you can banish 1 other Blackwing monster from your hand and place 1 Black Whirlwind from your deck face up in your spell and trap card zone. And then if this card, with this card, you immediately afterwards can normal summon 1 monster without tributing. And if this card cannot be special summoned from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, except for dark monsters, and you can also use this effect once per turn, and then you send the Black Whirlwind to the graveyard and take 1,000 points of damage. It's set up. That additional normal summon that you'll gain from Simoon the Poison Wind means that you can then access the search power of Black Whirlwind, since you immediately normal summon this card afterwards when using it, and then have the option for going into more monsters and more searches off of your Black Whirlwind. So you definitely want 3 of it. It's basically just a searcher for the card, and this card was also recently reprinted in the Legendary Duelist Season 2, so you have access to this card at a more affordable price, because I do believe this card was quite pricey before it was reprinted in that set, being the only way to get it through the original White Dragon Abyss Duelist pack. For some of the lower numbers for the non-tuners, I also run 2 Blackwing Harmattan the Dust. If you control a Blackwing monster other than Harmattan the Dust, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if it was normal summon or special summon, you can target 1 other Blackwing monster you control, increase this card's level by that monster's. Being a level 2 monster and having some pretty high level Blackwing monsters in this deck to summon out, we want easy adjustment for all of our different monsters we run to go into these cards. We have varying levels for the tuner monsters, but also the non-tuner monsters, so being able to adjust them with Harmattan the Dust, and the fact that this card is just an easy special summon of a level 2 monster means you can go into quite a good variety of different synchro monsters we have in the deck. And I also run 2 Blackwing Kalu the Moonshadow. I am a fan of the pure Blackwings, so instead of some of the Chaos cards, I wanted to run Kalu. It was always a fun card to use against your opponent, basically giving your Blackwing monster, when it is attacked or attacks, a 1400 attack point boost. So if your opponent's monster tries to attack into it, they fear you dropping this card and then potentially destroying their monster and boosting up your Blackwing monster to some pretty powerful attack stats. So only running 2 of it though, it is searchable, so you can even, bait out your opponent if you add this card with Black Whirlwind. They know that the Kalu is in your hand and that you can basically swing over any of the monsters they try and attack you with, and then they might have to change their battle strategy of how they would defeat you there. And then lastly, for some of the 1-ofs for the non-tuner Blackwings, I run 1 Blackwing Gladwing the Midnight Sun and 1 Blackwing Zephyros the Elite. With these cards, Zephyros the Elite is great for the setup in the graveyard with Foolish Burial, then just being able to bounce back a face-up card on the field to special summon it. And Gladius the Midnight Sun, when you only control Blackwing monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. And once per turn, this card cannot be destroyed by battle, but it's a level 3 resource. That's why I like Harmattan is a level 2. You have level 3 with Gladius, and also just the level 4 graveyard option with Zephyros the Elite. Different plays to go into depending on what monster you want to go into with that specific level. And that is it for the non-tuners. For the tuner monsters for the Blackwings, one of the best ones for sure, because I actually went over a discussion with my buddy Anthony, who is also letting me use the deck for this video, that this is probably the best tuner in Blackwings, but I forgot that we have a couple on the ban list, including Gofu, and just more token setup is why these cards were banned. But Gale was definitely a good one just for its special summoning power, and also the fact that you can once per turn have the attack and defense of one face-up monster your opponent controls. So then if you go into a more powerhouse Blackwing monster, you can then have the option to hit into that monster for massive damage, and Gale also can just summon it out again with a different Gale on the field, and then have the option to half that a card one more time, especially if it was like a 3,000 attack point monster, then 15, and then going down from there again to 750. For some of the lower numbers for the tuner monsters, I also run 2 Blackwing Oster the South Wind. It cannot be special summoned, and when this card is normal summon, you can target one of your banished level 4 or lower Blackwing monsters and special summon it in defense position. You can banish this card from your graveyard to give you the additional black counter skills with Blackwing Dragon. I don't have Blackwing Dragon in the extra deck. I'll show you what card I would take out for it, but if you wanted to make full use of the counters as well, then you could run that as an option in your extra deck, but I mostly use it for the banish because we do run Allure of Darkness in the deck as well. So banishing our resources but being able to summon them back with Oster the South Wind definitely comes in handy, but it's more situational because then you'll have to rely on that banish to use this card. So only if you have that set up do you want to rely on this card's normal summon. And I also run 2 Blackwing Breeze the Zephyr. When this card is added from your deck to your hand by the effect of a spell, trap, or monster card, you can special summon this card from your hand. This card cannot be used as a synchro summon except for the synchro summon of a Blackwing monster. So, Black Whirlwind, adding this card and giving you a special summon. It's that easy. You have the option with special summoning Gale as well, just by controlling Blackwing monsters, but this search power can definitely come in handy, just giving you more and more different tuner options as well on the field. And then lastly, for some of the one-ofs for the Blackwing tuners, I also run 1 Blackwing Vayu Emblem of Honor. Great for the graveyard synchro plays with this one. And 1 Orochi the Squall. It has the special summon from your hand and the option to change your opponent's monster's battle positions, but I'm only running 1 of each of these. They're situational once again, and once you set them up in the graveyard to use is when they come in handy. And then the 1 Blackwing Blizzard the Far North. It cannot be special summoned, and when this card is normal summon, you can special summon 1 level 4 lower Blackwing monster from your graveyard and face up defense position. More resources with this card. You can even go into Link monsters if you want, just using Blizzard the Far North, but it's more of a situational play altogether. And then for the rest of the monsters in the, excuse me, talking about just Blackwing so much, definitely a lot to take in for sure. But also I run 3 Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, the hand trap of choice in the deck for sure. I run a pretty high monster count, so being able to rely on Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, along with all of the different Blackwing monsters, definitely does come in handy for just stopping my opponent's plays on their turn as well. And then that is it for the monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. I run 3 Black Whirlwind, the best spell I would say in the deck. When a Blackwing monster is normal summoned to your side of the field, you can add 1 Blackwing monster from your deck to your hand with less attack than that monster. So even if you go for the Simoon play, you can normal summon out your Simoon and then have a good search power for a bunch of different Blackwing monsters we run, with most of the tuners having less attack than that card. So being able to add it off of the Black Whirlwind search is a big help there for sure. So definitely 3 of in all Blackwing decks. I also run 3 Allure of Darkness, just more search power, and this goes off of the fact that Oster can have a banished target with this card to summon back onto the field, but also just with all the multiples we're running for our Blackwing monsters, being able to have this not once per turn draw power to go into some proper cards we need for our plays is a big help there for sure. And lastly, for some of the one-ofs, I run the 1 Monster Reborn, more special summoning options from the graveyard graveyard, especially getting back some of our synchro monsters to use for bigger plays. One Foolish Burial, with this card setting up your Zephyros the Elite in the graveyard, and then just being able to bounce a card to special summon it back onto the field. One Harpy Feather Duster, I definitely do prefer this card over some of the other Blackwing cards that destroy back row. It's just more setup. You don't have to rely on the Blackwing monsters, but you can easily clear your opponent's back row and then not have any fear of your Blackwing plays that you'll play. And lastly, the one Call by the Grave for the rest of the spells, stopping your opponent's graveyard plays or just their hand trap, especially with some of the draw power and special summon power you have with a lot of the different Blackwing and spell cards we have in the deck. And then for the traps, the only trap I'm running, being the fact that I wanted to focus solely on a Blackwing focused main deck, is 2 Black Sonic. When an opponent's monster declares an attack on a Blackwing monster you control, banish all face-up attack position monsters your opponent controls. If you control exactly 3 Blackwing monsters and no other monsters, you can activate this card from your hand. So you have this protection effect to stop your opponent from basically destroying it on the field and then attacking without fear. If you have at least the 3 Blackwing monsters set up on the field, your opponent might take precautions into this play as well, so just remember that when going off of this play altogether. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I run 2 of the Blackwing Tamer Obsidian Yugioh. This card was also recently reprinted in the latest Legendary Duelist pack, so a big help for sure there. With this card, you can target 1 level 5 or higher Wing Beast monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and when your opponent activates a card effect that targets only this card, when your opponent targets this card for an attack, you can target 1 other Blackwing monster you control. That would be an appropriate target. That card, an effect or attack, now targets the new target. You can only use this effect of Obsidian Yugioh once per turn. So it's more of a protection Blackwing on the field, but also having 2600 attack is a big help for sure for going into a lot of your different setup. But the protection of your other Blackwings is why I definitely do like running 2 of this, and just being one of the easier ones to summon out. I also run 2 Blackwing Nothung the Starlight. With this one, if this card is special summon, you can inflict 800 damage to your opponent. So even if you're just, at a stalemate and you just need that little more damage against your opponent, this could be the one to definitely go into. And then if this special summon card with the 800 damage, then 1 face-up monster your opponent control loses 800 attack and defense. You can only use this effect of Nothung the Starlight once per turn, and during your main phase, you can normal summon 1 Blackwing monster in addition to your normal summoner set, which comes in handy greatly with the Black Whirlwind play, being able to have that additional normal summon and then more additional search also. I also run for some of the others 1 Blackwing Rakiri the Rain Shower. With this one, it's the destruction card, and it's also can be treated as a tuner monster while face up on the field, and once per turn you can target cards other to your opponent controls up to the number of other Blackwing monsters you control and destroy them. Your destruction card in the deck. This will definitely come in handy for a lot of those plays with your Chidori the Rain Sprinkling as your power boost card for more of your setup. 1 Blackwing Onimaru the Divine Thunder for your big boss monster to go into as well. For that setup, just being a level 12 option and just needing 1 tuner, 1 or more non-tuner means you can have some of the higher level Blackwing monsters to summon out using this one. And then for the Armor Masters, I'm also running 1 Blackwing the Armor Master and 1 Fuller Armor Master. I both like these options in the deck. If you wanted to go with just the Fuller Armor Master route, you can try that as well, but I know a lot of nostalgia comes off of Armor Master, so that's why I decided to include it in the deck as well for the feather counters and also more of the setup. And Blackwing Full Armor Master is also unaffected by other cards, and each time a monster your opponent controls activates its effect, you place 1 wedge counter on your opponent's monster, and after their effect once per turn, targeting 1 monster your opponent controls with a wedge counter and taking control of it, and then having the more setup to remove the counter and then reduce the attack of your opponent's monster with the original Armor Master. Great options for both. That's why I like to run both in the deck. And then for some of the other synchro options, I run 1 Assault Blackwing Sohaya the Rainstorm, a level 5 monster for the setup during the main phase of this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn. And you can banish this card from your graveyard to add 1 Assault Blackwing the Rainstorm from your graveyard and special summon it instead. More setup with this card for the summon of Sohaya the Rainstorm during the main phase because it was in there. It's just more of a Synchro Alliance and being a level 5 monster to go into. I also run 1 Trishula with the level 9 options. It's a great one to go into. So just for the banishing of your opponent's monsters and all the different levels, it can be quite easy to summon this card out onto the field. If you want to run Blackwing Dragon, you can replace Trishula or your Sohaya the Rainstorm for putting in Blackwing Dragon in the deck. And then for the Link monsters, I run 1 Wee Witch's Apprentice, 1 Raid Raptor Y-Strix, still a great searcher. It's the only Raid Raptor card I run in the deck to have the option to summon out a level 4 Darkwing Beast monster from the deck. Also 1 Nightmare Unicorn for the shuffle back power, and 1 Raid Raptor 4-Strix. Like I said, if you have the option of 2 level 4 monsters on the field to overlay into this card, it's just good for the search power if you don't have the tuners to rely on. And then as for some of the go-to plays for the special summon, that's a big part of the Blackwing deck for sure. So whether you normal summon this card out, your Crack of the Dawn, or Bore of the Spear, you have the special summon for your other Blackwing monster, and then giving you the option for, if you open up your Black Whirlwind, activating this card. Depending on your normal summon, you'll then have the search power for 1 other Blackwing monster from your deck to add to your hand. If you want to go for the level 1 tuner option of Orochi the Squall, you can summon that card out and then have your Trishula play right there. Not really going with the Blackwing play summon there, but also, like I said before, with the overlay Xyz summon, being able to then summon out your Raid Raptor 4-Strix and add another level 4 option, giving you more resources. It doesn't help for the tuner search play, but at least you have more search power and resources to go into, as long as a defensive wall for that setup. But some of the more, I would say retro almost plays do rely on the Simoon normal summon, and then giving you the option for the search once more, going into Orochi. For the special summon will then give you a level 7 option, which you can then use to go in to your Blackwing Armor Master, or even your Hawk Joe on the field, being the level 7 monsters to summon out onto the field for that play. And then the more search power you get off the Black Whirlwind, the more monsters you can summon out using these play setups. And also, don't forget, if you summon out Blizzard the Far North and have a level 4 monster in your graveyard, you can then summon that card and then have any of your Link 2 options with both of these cards, or even go for the level 6 synchro option, which would be your Nothung the Starlight, being a level 6 monster for that burn damage, then hitting lower attack on your opponent's monsters. But that is it for the deck profile. One thing to always remember with the Blackwing deck is to just have fun with all the different synchro summons you can make, depending on the level of monsters you have. And that is where a lot of the playstyle comes from also, just seeing what Blackwing monster is perfect for the specific situation that you're in as well. And until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.